Okay, assalamu alaikum everybody. Welcome back. I have been gone for a couple months, and that's because I lost motivation and I had other things I needed to focus on. But it is going to be the new year very soon, and basically every single year I start off really strong with my content creation. So hopefully this year we're going to like stick to it till the end of the year. But I wanted to start off again with this year, going over all of the goals I have that I think are really very reasonable and feel very like tangible and doable this year. I wrote it all down because I otherwise forget and I ramble a lot, and that's one thing I want to try to not do this year. So let's just get right into it. For this video, we're going to go over all of the different things that I want to work on and try out. And we're going to also briefly go over the progress I made from this past year because a lot of these goals overlap, and most of the goals that I have are things that you need to continuously work on rather than like one time things. So, first, we have the fact that I want to learn French again, and I am actually putting in the effort to try to do so. And I'm starting off pretty easy, pretty small. I'm going to be using the app Duolingo to learn French, and the reason is that I used to use this several years ago, way before it was a hugely popular app on TikTok because of all of the comments of the user or whoever manages the social media for Duolingo. And I think there's some lore behind that, but I'm not interested in that. I just want to learn French. It's something that has always been on the back of my mind. And my goal is to basically do some French lessons every single day, even if it's just a single lesson. And hopefully, I can stick with the consistency. I've been able to really work on and improve my consistency recently. And I've started learning French a few weeks ago, and I've been able to be consistent. So I'm expecting I can maintain that in the coming year. The second thing is I also want to work on my Arabic, specifically in relation to understanding and being able to read and like comprehend the Quran. So there is another app that I've been using, and that one I haven't been as consistent on, but this is a priority for me, and I really want to work on this before Ramadan starts. And the app is called Quranic. I think I did research on this app like a year ago or a year and a half ago. And so I had the app already on my phone when I decided to revisit this goal of mine. And so the plan is to try to be a little bit more consistent and work on the most common words in the Quran. So there's a lot of lists out there for like the top 100 most common words that are used in the Quran, top 500, whatever amount. I'm hoping that I can hopefully learn at least the top 100, but my plan is to learn as much as possible before Ramadan specifically. So I have about 2 months to do that. I also want to do a little bit more research and be more thorough in what I choose to learn in terms of understanding the sources of the people. Sorry, how am I trying to say this? I'm trying to be more thorough about who I'm listening to, who is reporting on the news, or who is the author, or who is the provider of this service. So it seemed legit to me, the Quranic app, and so I want to give it a try. They also have this, I guess, more intensive course for about 2 weeks. This is prior to Ramadan. It seems that this course is not free, and I'm okay with that. I'm willing to put some money towards this because I think I should be spending more of my resources on this. I think it's very important, and I have neglected this part of my life for a long time. So, inshallah, hopefully, I will. I'm a little scared to say it, but hopefully, I think I will enroll in the course and take part in it. I'm going to be doing a little bit of travel during the timing of that course, so I'm not sure how that's going to work, but inshallah, that's the plan. The next goal I have is I want to continue to focus on praying 5 times a day. I want to pray on time every single time, all 5 prayers. And this past year, I had been working on this a lot, and I've been working on this every year for the last couple of years, especially like I've made videos about it. And I made a lot of progress. And I think the biggest takeaway I've seen with my experience with Salah and my relationship with Islam is that for the longest time, I was just making like 1% improvements on a yearly basis, you know? So it was so hard to feel like I was making any progress. But this past year, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, I feel like I finally made significant improvements where it felt like I could say, like, yes, I pray. Like, I felt like I couldn't say that before. I still don't, I'm not comfortable with saying that with confidence. I feel like it's very much like imposter syndrome. But alhamdulillah, I've made progress. My goal is to just improve on that progress. I think I can very comfortably, I don't want to jinx myself, but alhamdulillah, I think very comfortably I can pray regularly 3 times a day. I, of course, want to make that 5 times a day, but if by the end of the year I am consistently praying even just 4 times a day, I think that's just like really good progress, and I'll be very, very happy with that. But inshallah, let's see, let's try, let's, you know, hope for the best, plan for the best, and prepare for the worst. And inshallah, I'm going to be able to be very proud of myself at the end of the year. Inshallah, that's the goal. Another goal and side quest I have had for several years, since like for at least 20 years, I have wanted to learn how to swim. And I finally took my first all women's swimming lesson just the in the last few months of the year, and I was so excited and so incredibly nervous to take my first lesson. But alhamdulillah, first of all, like for me it's really important that I have like an all women's environment and there's privacy, and alhamdulillah the facility that I've been using or was using provided that for me, which made me very comfortable in like feeling like I could comfortably go in and focus on learning how to swim. And inshallah, the plan is, though I concluded my lessons recently, I did miss a few lessons. I was really hoping I would be able to complete the course. It was like 9 or 10 lessons. I really wanted to not miss a single lesson. However, I did, and that's okay. But inshallah, I am confident that I can float in water. Why am I like tripping over my words? I can float in water now, and I think that's so amazing because I was so afraid of like just letting go in the water, and it's just so exciting to be able to do that. And inshallah, I want to be even more confident, and in order to do that, I would need to take more lessons. I was going to enroll in these lessons at the start of the year. However, for that cohort, it would be during the coldest months of the year here in Canada, which I didn't want to do. And the second thing is that I would miss half the courses or half the course automatically because I won't be available during that time. Inshallah, I'm planning on visiting my in-laws, so I wouldn't be here. So I thought it would be smarter, inshallah, to enroll in the spring or summer cohort because it'll be warmer weather, and I think it'll just be better for me overall. So inshallah, that is something that I'm looking forward to as well in the summer months. And then, oh yes, another thing is I've always wanted to be really good at skating. And I feel like as a Canadian, I feel like you should know how to do that. I've only ever been on the ice a handful of times with my class back when I was in like middle school, high school. So like 2 or 3 times. And I figured it out. So when I think back about that time, I always think about how it is possible to learn a new skill, even if you didn't get exposure to it at a very young age. I experienced that again with swimming, and I want to learn how to skate because for me, a lot of my hobbies or a lot of the things I like to do require a lot of sitting down and not being active. And that's something that's I've been really trying to change. And it's really hard to do that when you're so used to that kind of lazier lifestyle where you just avoid everything that's in relation to being active. So while I really enjoy some of the things I do that are not active, like not physically active, I realize that I am using it as a crutch to just not be active, and that's a problem. So with skating, there are lessons I could have done, the winter lessons, it would have made sense too. However, I am very nervous about it, but hopefully, inshallah, this year, if latest by the end of the year, the last cohort I hope to try to enroll. And it'll be a little nerve-wracking. Another issue with skating is that you need to obviously buy skates. However, that takes up a lot of space, and I am trying to minimize the clutter in my home because it is just too much for me. And there is an option to rent skates every single time. However, the idea of sharing shoes with someone else, I just don't like that idea. I think I'm gonna have to just deal with it though, because skates, I believe, are quite expensive and they are quite bulky. So we'll figure it out. We'll take it day by day. Let's see, you know? I'm not sure about this specific goal then. However, inshallah, I believe I'm gonna convince myself to do it anyway. And hopefully, I'm gonna try to get my husband to do it, but I know he's going to be a little bit nervous about it. But let's see. Okay, the next thing is kind of there's the next two are kind of linked. The first thing is, inshallah, I want to donate more. Specifically, I want to donate from the stuff that I already have, like rather than just donating money or buying, stuff and then donating it. Alhamdulillah, I've been very blessed. And I have like a lot of stuff, and I've gotten a lot of good use out of a lot of the things I have. So one thing that I've been trying to do over the last year and a half is donate some of my stuff periodically. And my aim is specifically to donate 2 items per month. And I want these items to be like my items. I don't want to be donating my husband's items. It has to be my own stuff. So specifically, that would be like my clothing or accessory type of items. I've donated, alhamdulillah, like a lot of stuff because we actually moved this past year. And so I needed to be able to reduce the stuff that I needed to pack, and we still had to use like a huge truck because we had some very bulky items, and it was a lot. Alhamdulillah, I'm very grateful for that. But I think that if I'm not getting good use out of things, and if I feel like someone else can get better use out of my stuff, why not? The only tricky thing with my clothing is that most of my clothing is actually traditional desi kapre, and so who do I donate to? Because most people here do not wear those clothes. So it gets a little bit tricky. However, sometimes, like my mom will send clothes back home, and then they will donate things on our behalf, like my relatives. I will be going back home, inshallah, very soon. So I could take clothes to donate. However, obviously, going back home means you have to take a lot of gifts and stuff. So it's a little bit challenging. But that's okay. There is the Muslim Welfare Center in Canada where this is where we used to donate for as long as I can remember. We would donate in the location where my parents used to live, and I just have this nostalgia for that place, and so that's where I like to go to donate my desi kapre preferably. There are options to have people come to your home to pick up your donations. However, I don't know if they would find use in my desi clothes. And also there's just some stuff I've heard, shady stuff about some of those organizations. So personally, I try to avoid donating via that route. And anyway, aside from that, yeah, so that's what I have in terms of my goals for donations and decluttering and minimalism, is to use up the stuff that I have and donate as much as I can. And every time it seems like the trend moving forward for myself would be that every time I go back to Pakistan, I will get a new batch of clothes. I have really fought my mom on this about trying to make sure that I don't get like too many clothes because I find it wasteful, and inherently it seems like a lot of traditional Pakistani clothes are wasteful because they're basically like single outfits. You can't really mix and match, and so if I were to go traveling, if I want 5 outfits, it has to be 5 full set of outfits rather than 5 pairs of clothes that I mix and match and make 5 outfits out of. And so you get limited uses, I think, unless you're wearing them very regularly, even the fancy clothes and all of that. There's this trend and expectation that you'll only wear those things once. And I'm like, hello, we paid good money for this. I'm going to wear it like to the ground. I like to, like, I don't mind wearing, like, it just seems stupid to not wear like the fancy clothes, the nice clothes, all the clothes, even your wedding clothes. Wear them at home if you have to. Wear it on your anniversary at home, just chilling or something. I don't know. It just seems ridiculous that you would spend that much amount of money and then not wear it again, even if it's just for yourself. Like I told my husband, he hasn't followed through with this on this with me. I've been like, what we should do is every single year to get our money's worth, we should wear our wedding outfits and just chill. Like, just even if it's for a few hours, like, whatever, what does it matter? Like, that's how I feel at least, but to each their own. The second thing that's related is I'm going to, inshallah, continue on my low buy, no buy this year as well. I made a lot of progress this past year. I really wanted to share with you guys the stuff that I used up because I was so shocked that I was actually able to get through stuff and I could feel tangibly like the burden, the physical burden decrease of all of the things that I had. I had a lot of skincare and stuff, and I had stopped buying for about a year and a half, 2 years. I have been working on this like decluttering journey, you could say, for the last like 2.5 to 3 years at least, I would say, like consciously at least. And because I knew that, there was a plan to eventually move closer to home or closer to my family, I knew that I would eventually need to move. And I didn't want to move boxes and boxes of used up items or like items in general that I haven't used up because I just keep buying things. So I made so much progress this year, alhamdulillah. I have used up so much of my stuff and I really have narrowed down like what do I really need and what do I have too much of. Like for example, I don't go through as quickly my cleansers, my facial cleansers, for example. So I don't need to have like 3 backups of that. But there are other items that I'll use up a lot more quickly. So I will still have backups of those because it's just easier. I don't want to run out suddenly. And I don't want to necessarily pay full price if I don't need to, because I know how to be a little bit smarter with my purchases such that I don't have to be paying full price for a lot of things. And so that's just the route that I like to take. However, the biggest difference, the biggest takeaway that I saw this year was that, you know what, you don't need to spend $100, $200, $300 every 2 to 3 months buying new skincare. You can take your time, use up what you have, and then replace on an as needed basis. And that doesn't have to compromise how much you're spending per item. And so it was a really great experience to really see the physical clutter go down, the amount of money that I'm spending on this stuff go down, and just the overall satisfaction of the products that I am using and feeling like, okay, I don't want to have to go through this product again or this type of product, or I want to do more research when I get this type of product because this didn't work for me and I don't like that I have like it seems like such a waste basically. And so a lot of the products I've been using, I started off by making sure I went with things that would make sense. So I'm like less offending products that I know are going to work for me, are going to be gentle for me, etc. And it's really worked out for me and I love it. Another thing that I've done in terms of being like focusing on this low buy, no buy is I just try to really take my time with making purchases. I have a lot of things, alhamdulillah, that are nice, but they aren't necessarily my style. I know, like when I was getting married, my mom was like, "We gotta buy this, we gotta buy that," and she's just like, "No, you need this and you need that," and I was like, "Mama, like, okay, I get it, but like, I don't think this is gonna work. Like, I don't like this enough. Like, I don't think it's gonna go with the vibe because I have certain things like ideally this is what I would like if I had like 2 living rooms and if I had like this and that, like if I had like a nice big house, this is how I would decorate it. And I had to like reverse engineer and think about like what do I like? What do I want the room to look like, feel like? And a lot of the things that my mom was purchasing, though they're really, really nice things, it just wasn't necessarily going to fit in that vision that I was going to downscale to my current living situation. And then I also made some dumb purchases. Not dumb. It's not dumb. It's a great sofa, alhamdulillah. But it's not like a very formal sofa. It's a very cozy sofa, which is also why my husband won't let me get rid of it. But it's an amazing sofa, but it's now way too big for the space that we have. So we had to, because it's like a U-shaped sofa, and so it's not all together in one piece, and so you can't enjoy like you can't enjoy it to the max because of that purpose. But alhamdulillah for everything, I can't complain. But basically, I've been trying to be really conscious of the things that I get and try to really see, does it fit in my space, and will this become a headache afterwards? Because when we moved into this place, oh my god, we're 20 minutes in, and okay, whatever. But anyway, this is a long video because there's a lot of goals, but and I haven't talked to you guys in forever. But basically, there has been so much क्या कहते हैं, so much stuff that we moved in with, and a lot of it was in storage because I didn't have the space at the time. But now that we do have the space, you still need to be able to store it somewhere. So there's a lot of I had to get this big closet and this and that. And, it just felt like I wouldn't have to buy more stuff to store my stuff if I just didn't have that much stuff. So inshallah, I have some goals in terms of reducing that type of clutter, because over time, you're just going to gradually accumulate things as life goes on. And so I don't want to put myself through the intensity of having like an insane amount of stuff and you can't find anything. And one thing that I've noticed is like, it's just easier for my husband as well when you don't have to, move like 6 boxes to get to the one thing you need. So it's just nicer if you have a little bit less stuff and it's the stuff that you really need. It's just easier. So I've been trying to use up the things that I do have. So that's one thing. I'm trying to use up like the books that I have, the paper I have and stuff like that. Because alhamdulillah, I love stationery, so I have a lot of it. And even if I were to do everything in my power, by the end of the year, I wouldn't be surprised if I still didn't make that much of a dent in it. But over time, I've been using my stuff, and so I think it's possible. So inshallah, that's the focus for my no buy, low buy, to get to the point, is to basically use everything that I have as much as possible before I make any purchases, be more conscious about the purchases and make sure that those purchases and those things that I'm going to get are things I'm going to actually use for a long period of time, and they're not just bandages for a current situation. That's what I've been trying to do. And by also consciously trying to donate, it's making it possible for me to more easily manage the things that I have and make sure that I don't accumulate unnecessarily, especially if I'm just going to donate it in 6 months, a year, or even in 2 years. I want to be better about that. But I will say I love a good sale still. So yeah, I love winners. It's not a problem. It's just nice. Okay, like I don't know. I love winners. I love HomeSense. I love Marshalls. I love going there. That is where I go sometimes to just get a walk in, okay? Like, and I may purchase something, but I do a pretty good job of not purchasing as much. However, I will walk around, keep an eye out, see if there's anything that I like or something that I could be interested in that could come in handy, whether it's for myself or relatives. I just enjoy it and I get my steps in. Like, what's the issue? And another thing, so next topic, another goal I have that I didn't do too good on was food. I want to, I believe last year my goal was, or this past year, my goal was to try to make a new meal every week or every 2 weeks, I think it was. And inshallah, the plan is to continue to attempt to do that. However, I feel more capable of doing that this year because previous year, I had some challenges with cooking, I think. I think I was starting to lose the excitement for cooking, and also I had some challenges with like the cooking situation, the kitchen situation, but and on top of that, I was moving, blah, blah, blah. There was a lot of things, but now I feel like I can do it, and I feel like I'm excited to do it again. And so inshallah, the plan is to try to make one new item, one new dish every single week. And if I can't make a completely new dish every week, I want to at least try to make a different iteration of something that I already know how to cook. So for example, I know how to make biryani, but I don't think I've ever made like Sindhi biryani. I think Sindhi biryani is the one with the alus. So I was like, I want to try to do that. And I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine and how she was saying like they make biryani, but like in the oven or something. So I'm gonna probably reach out to her and just be like, hey, what did you do with your biryani that like how do you make it? Because I just want to try something different. I think it's fun. I think a lot of people don't like to cook. It's a like it's laborious. It takes time. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes you add too much salt, you add too little salt or whatever. But I just think it's just nice. I've always wanted to be able to cook, and I always had a focus on baking, less on like meals. And so it's so cool to be an adult in the sense that like yeah, I know it's tough and it's hard, but being able to sit there and make a meal and it tastes good and like the people you love trying it and enjoying it, it's so nice, man. I don't know. I love that. So inshallah, that's the goal this year with food. Now we're going to move into exercise. So this is something that I've struggled with every single year, and I have improved over the last 2 years. I think I've made a lot of improvements. This year was really good as well. So my goal has always been to focus on the walking. I want to do physical weights and other types of exercises. And I've mentioned before that I don't really know how to do the like exercise thing. I just do it. Like whatever one or two things I hear about, I'm like, oh, okay, let me just try to incorporate this into my daily life. And it's been challenging. I've tried to be more conscious about exercise and it's worked. And when I put in the effort, I can easily get to 10K steps a day, which is a huge goal that I had. And I started off by starting very small. It would be like, get to 6K steps a day, 7K, 8K, 9K, and then eventually 10K, and then even more than that. However, the difficulty with exercise and specifically trying to get my steps in is that for me personally, it requires me to be very consciously actively trying to get my steps in the entire day, which is exhausting and hella annoying. Which is why if I have activities planned naturally in my day to be active, that helps me be more active without having to try so hard. So whether that's planning to go out every single day just for a walk or just literally go to a store so that I can be not in the snow and just like walk around for the sake of walking, it works for me and that's what I like to do. This is gonna be a long video. Yeah, I thought it was gonna be way quicker than this, but anyway, so that's the 10K steps. And I did really good about it this year. I had many, many weeks out of the year where I was doing the 10K steps or 9K steps or 11 or 12K steps, but it's just difficult, like I mentioned, because of my lifestyle. And so it's just something that I'm trying to continue to work on. I do now have like this Fitbit thing, and it's great. It encourages me if by the end of the day, like I do check it quite often, and I can tell like, oh, I haven't been active today, or I can tell I've done way more than I thought I did. It's just nice to see and gauge, and it gives me an idea. Like I can now overall tell, okay, have I been getting my steps in or not? And what can I do if I see at 5 or 7 or 8 p.m. even that I haven't done much walking? I will generally feel more motivated unless I'm like unwell or if it's a busy, hectic day or something like that. I will feel motivated to get out of bed or get up and get out and get a couple steps in, even if it's just 10 minutes of walking. And I think that's great. This has been great motivation, this Fitbit. Okay, and another thing is focusing on weights and trying to do all of that. It's a lot. It's been challenging, but what I do is I have like these weights that I bought, I want to say 2 years ago or maybe even 3 years ago. I think 3 years ago. These weights, they're small weights. I'm still stuck on like 5 pound weights, but sometimes I do 8 pound weights, which is really, really exciting for me. And inshallah, I want to increase that over time. However, I'm not very consistent with my weights. And so that's something that I want to work on. And if I can do that, even like if a third of the year is spent doing weights and not more than that, I would still be quite satisfied. So inshallah, that's a plan. And I guess I should mention there's another app. So thing that seems common for this upcoming year is that I am using apps more, and that is because I just find them helpful. I try to not use apps in the effort to reduce my screen time, but it was just resulting in me using my screen time in worse ways rather than using more productive apps. So there's this app, and it's like I started using this when I was pulling a lot of all-nighters, and it's been so helpful. It has been so helpful. The app is called Finch, and it's literally like just basic tasks, and you just check them off, and they just present it in like a cute way or whatever. And I really like it, and it's so motivating because I didn't realize there's so many like super basic tasks that I would delay to much later in the day when it's like it's not normal. Like I should like it motivates me to get out of like one of the things you can check off is like, oh, I got out of bed. And I was like, okay, this I'm gonna probably delete this one, and I still have it on because it just motivates me to quickly get out of bed. And I'm like, whatever, I'll take whatever I need to be a little bit more productive and feel better at the end of the day. Because before, I wasn't able to really I wasn't tracking, and I wasn't feeling like I was doing as much even when I was doing stuff. So one thing is like I've incorporated, for example, making sure I do these small random exercises throughout the day by having these things. Ooh, that was scary. Having these little things set up in that app. And I also like I have a thing to like make sure that I walk around or just stand up for a few seconds in the day and stuff like that. And it's been helping me in terms of my exercise. I've found it really beneficial, and I've had the app for like 2 weeks, and I really really like it. I'm like trying to convince my cousins to get it too because it's just a fun little thing. Okay, another thing that I want to work on, inshallah, is also content creation. So, as I mentioned previously, the thing with content creation is that I start off strong at the beginning of the year, and then I kind of fall off because usually something happens, or I just feel too stressed, or it feels like too much. Or I feel like I'm not totally happy with what I'm making. It's all these random different things that come into play, and then I end up not or stopping the posting. And then the problem is that I'll eventually want to start posting, but that inertia is lost, and I have to get over that inertia of like everything that it takes to get ahead and finally start posting again. And for literally the last like I want to say 4 to 5 months, I was like, okay, I'm gonna post this week, it's gonna be the week. But it just wasn't clearly I wasn't prioritizing it enough, and I think I had to be honest with myself, but a part of me was still like, okay, this will be the week, this will be the week. And I was just taking up a lot of brain power and space and stress. And so I just like accepted that I'm probably not going to post by the end of the year. And if I don't, it's fine. But if I do, that'll be exciting. So it was always like an option or something at the back of my mind. But inshallah, the plan is to post. And I think like you need to have a good why for why you do things. And I think for content creation, I really think I want to be bigger than what I think I want to be. And I want to, I want to feel proud of what I'm making. But I don't want it to just be about like just me, and I feel like, and I think that's because I'm kind of boring, but I feel like there are interesting things that I would love to talk about, but I don't feel like I know much about them, or enough about them to really be talking about them. But I just think there are interesting things to explore or things I want to learn and I want to share, but I don't want to accidentally say something that's wrong. I don't want to accidentally like hurt anyone or offend anyone. And I feel like I'm prone to that. So it's just better to not venture into those things. But I think it could be a really good learning experience. And inshallah, if I have good intentions and if I put in the effort, um, you know, for the good intentions, I think it should be fine. But it's just like a little nerve-wracking, and it is a lot of work. But inshallah, let's see. Maybe there'll be a difference or a change in the types of things I talk about or the types of videos I make. I also want to just make something like creative. I think like in a different life, if I didn't think like the way that I do, I think I probably would have gone into, like, if I went into a creative field, I feel like I would have gone into like directing because I love, I do enjoy editing, but I also like usually have like a vision for like, so when I'm like randomly recording my family members, I used to do that a lot. I used to make videos of everybody, and it was just like fun, and it would be totally casual, random stuff. And I just always had this vision, and I always, I think I never regretted making those random videos. Like they could be 2 second videos, 1 minute video, 5 minute video, randomly record whatever is happening. And I always, like, I never regretted it because it's always something you can look back on. And I guess that's another aspect of content creation that I want to work on, which is like creating some of the memories. And even if it's just for myself, just creating and keeping those memories, because that's something that I regret not having more of. And I think it was a part of me was like, I was just such a hipster. I don't want to get into it. But yeah. And I just regret not having more. And one thing, like, look, this, I'm just being honest. Like, I didn't realize that, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, like, I was kind of pretty. And people would tell me that, but I just didn't believe it. It just wasn't something that was ever in like the top 10, top 20 things that were a priority for so long. And it just made me think like I must not be, because for other people, that is more on the forefront of their mind. And in my opinion, they are pretty, they are beautiful, and whatever. So I just never focused on that. And I think only recently I realized, like, no, alhamdulillah, I was pretty, I am pretty, alhamdulillah, all those things. It's just so cringe to like say. Um, and I have my reasons for thinking it's cringe and whatever, but I would like to be able to look back on my youth, and for a lot of it, I don't have much, I didn't know how to take pictures, I didn't know how to pose and all of that. But inshallah, let's see, I'm going to try to focus and on that a little bit, as long as it doesn't take away from some of the more important goals I have, I think, like focusing on prayer and things like that. But that brings me back down to the last thing that I want to focus on in the new year, and that would be working on my screen time. And I decided to check my screen time over the last month on my phone before this video. It is bad. It is really bad. And so we need to do something about this. Oh my God. It is offensive. I am mortified. So this previous year, I really, really worked on my screen time, and the year before that, and I made so much progress, but it looks like all of that progress is lost. And so we need to seriously, seriously work on my screen time this year, inshallah. I want to bring it down back again. My original goal had been for, I believe, 2 hours, and I thought it was possible. Like, original reasonable goal was for 2 hours, but I think I have to adjust that to 3 hours for this year, inshallah. And the aim is also for the screen time that I do have, I want it to be more productive screen time. So for example, I want to be kya kehte hain? I want to be using the apps. So Duolingo, Quranic, Finch. Did I mention that the name of that app? It's Finch, that I use for like the random tasks throughout the day and stuff. So I want to be using those apps, not just scrolling, because that's the thing that I got back into, which has resulted in an obscene screen time. It just happened. This is the nice thing. When I was tracking things, I was more conscious of it, and it really helped me stay in line. But when I stopped posting, I think that's when things went south. But yes, I want to decrease my screen time to about 3 hours max per day. And that would be overall, not just on my phone, but my iPad. But I do passively watch stuff sometimes when I'm cooking and stuff like that. But like, actually actively looking at a screen, especially like with a phone, you're holding it so close to your face. I don't want it to exceed 3 times. I want to use the useful apps that I have and try to shift primarily to useful apps. If there are apps that can make and improve my life, I am okay with using those. I don't mind that. But then I have to make a compromise on my scrolling and all the other things that I do. And hopefully, I will improve my screen time as a result. So yeah, those are my goals. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 goals, and basically all of them I have been working on for the better part of like, I want to say 2 years, if not more, for pretty much all of them except for the language learning and like the swimming, skating stuff. That stuff is new. Everything else, honestly, yeah, I've tried to work on it for well over 2 years for pretty much everything else. And inshallah, I think we can do it. I think we can do it. It's going to take a lot of effort. Like, I have now a 40-minute video to edit and post. I might just post it as is, just for myself, to put it out there, to feel good about this and just get the ball rolling. But yeah, that's what I've been up to. That's the plan for the new year. And I will see you guys, I think, in the next year maybe. And I would love to know what your guys' thoughts are on my goals and what goals you have for yourself, or any tips on trying to be more efficient and get through your goals. I'm actually going to do more detailed, like I just made a quick list here for the sake of this video. I actually have been working on like a more detailed month to month plan on how I'm going to learn or achieve my goals. I will probably share that, hopefully, inshallah, on a regular basis this upcoming year. I just want to keep talking. You would think I would want to take a break after 40 minutes, but here we are. Yeah, I'm gonna have to make another video soon because I'm excited again. Yeah, I think that's it. I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm gonna start posting more on Instagram and TikTok and just try to be more active online for the sake of content creation and just trying to learn and do more, inshallah, this year. So yeah, see you guys there. Subscribe if you haven't already. Assalamu alaikum.